Hey, what's up, YouTube? Gravekeeper here. Um, Finally going to give you a Nats recap. Apologize for not putting it up earlier. I also apologize for my sound. I know that my mic is not the best, so I do again apologize for that. Please use headphones if you have them. If you have any questions on the deck, I'm going to try to answer them in this video before you actually have to ask them. For certain cards regarding like what I played in Book of Moon, why only one tribute, uh, things like that. Any other questions that you do have, please leave me a comment or a message below. You can ask me on Facebook. That's probably the best way to reach me. My information should be on my channel somewhere, and if it isn't, then you can just message me and ask me for that information. Anyway, let me get down to the deck. That's what we're all waiting for. And then I'll give a small recap on Nizar and a lot of just other things that were floating about. Three Commandant, 3 Spy, 3 Recruiter, 2 Descendant. Yeah, I went with 2 instead of 3 because I thought that it's still a little cloggy at 3. So, I mean, yeah, there are times that I wanted a 3rd Descendant, but more often than not, I was completely fine with 2. Unless I freaking run into skill drain in game 1, then 2 Descendants is just fine. So, never really had a problem with it. It's an easy way to stell it back. The only other problem with that is macro in the format, so 2 Descendant. 1 Assailant, still really good, still should play 1. I like it a lot, but I don't like it in 2. But yeah, so one Assailant is still really good. It gets over a lot. It can help get over the dragons like Light Pulsar and Dark Flare. So it's also really good in combination if you have a commandant in hand that you can just go attack switch on a Chaos Sorcerer and then run over its defense, or same thing with Stardust, Logia. He can get over Dolphin himself with no attachments, obviously. But anyway, so 1 Assailant. 1 Guard. Guard was really good. I'm glad I played it, because oftentimes they're going to read Spy or Recruiter. They're going to attack it with a Logia, try to bait out and go Warning, and then I'm just going to end up flipping up a Guard, bouncing the Logia, and they're going to have no response. Because it's really hard to stop a Guard unless you have Chalice. So the best part is he's going to win a battle with Logia, go head up against it, and then stay on the field. Obviously, Necrovelli has to be there, but usually when isn't it? Anyway, so Guard was really good. You could play 2 if you wanted. I still recommend 1. 1's really good, and you can sell it back for later. But there aren't a lot of times where you want Guard over something else. So 1 Guard was just really good, though. And the last monster, the breakdown's 14, 14, 14, is the Spear Soldier. Spear Soldier was great meta call. Ryko, Lila, Spirit Reaper, Veilers that they often set against GK. These were just really, really cards that I saw set against me a lot. Hornets are going to be set. Dragonflies are going to be set. So I'm just glad I played it. He's really good. He does extra damage when I need him to. And I'm going to rape a Sangan before they get their search, which is fine by me. You take 1400. Go right ahead. Anyway, yeah, so I'd absolutely play the 1 Spear Soldier. It was just too good of a meta call not to play. Onto the spells. 3 Necro. 3 Duality. 2 Chalice. I explained in my last video that I'm using Chalice because I don't play Veiler. I don't like the possibility of even opening up Royal Tribute Veiler, especially if I'm going first. I would much rather have this and maintain hand advantage. I don't want to have to drop cards when I use Royal Tribute. So the way to go about that is by playing double Chalice. So yeah, 400 sometimes gets in the way of things that you want to get over. like giving them 400 attack to a Ryo, or 400, 300 to a 400 to a Doomcow before you use your effect. Um, it's just still really good. Forbidden Chalice has been used offensively so much. It can help game 1 against those Raikos, against the Lilas. Another monster giving 402 is a problem. But it lets you play around those things so well. So, Forbidden Chalice, really good. Double Stell. 1 tribute. I don't like the idea of having a Dark World matchup. I also don't like the idea of having dead cards in my deck. Yes, it's a good card. Yes, at times it can be broken, but oftentimes you're not going to hit a full hand unless you're playing dragons. And I don't like that. Yes, seeing my opponent's hand is really good. It's a good advantage, but at the same time, if I'm stuck with a Necrovalley in hand and they know that, I'd rather not be using it that often. Aside the second one, because of that dragon matchup specifically, and Inzectors, but Royal Tribute in game 1, I don't like the idea of having a dead card. So I just went with 1, and I would keep it at 1. I just don't like the idea of not running it at all. You don't have to play scared of Dark World 100%. So, Royal Tribute. 1 Wonder Wand. I like it as a 1-of. It's a great first turn play with Recruiter. You can search, set up, draw, get more back row support. In the odd chance that you draw into monsters, oh well, now you'll know you'll be speeding up your deck to draw into outs later. So that's good. It's also good for the first turn Trib play. If you have Trib, you can go summon Recruiter, activate this. If unfortunately you started with Necrovalley, you can play Necro, and then you can play out your hand, Royal Tribute, send them off, draw 2 more, and search for another monster, so that doesn't get discarded with Tribute. Hopefully you draw into a Stell, though, because that's the brokenness. It's really easy side-out fodder, which is another great reason why I love playing this card. It gives me stuff to side out. I don't miss it in game 2 or 3, but I would still absolutely keep it in for game 1. It's really, really good. It can be used offensively or to draw outs. Hole. And yeah, Book of Moon. I decided to play this over the Liberty at Last. I was tired of losing to Decree. I didn't want something that was going to die to an MST, although it really didn't hurt when they MST to Liberty at Last. It's more like a wasted MST, in my opinion. But either way, I liked something that was a little more chainable. I didn't want to go with the third Compulse again because I don't want to lose to Decree. So I put in Book. Yes, it had its benefits. Yes, there were times that I wished it was Liberty at Last. But overall, I think I'll be sticking with Book, as much as I know it's not that good right now. But for the mere fact that it has more synergy with my deck than it does a lot of other decks, I guess, again, with just like the Compulses, I'm going to have to keep it in for now. And that's how I feel about Book. So 1 Book, and that's the spells onto the traps. 3 Bribe. I brought it back up. There's a lot of times where I have a Bribe, and it just makes me feel so much more comfortable about my hand. It can stop Decree if I'm going first, usually. I can use Bribe selectively. I don't waste Bribe until they've heavied. I don't waste Bribe until it's a play that I'm going into OTK. I try not to waste Bribe until I need it. Bribe is that strong of a card. And with triple space heavy format, it's really a must. I can't see a back row deck not running Bribe, or a control deck not running Bribe, at least 2. So 3 Bribes. It's also gives me 1 Bribe to side out very easily. So 3 Bribes. Double Warning. Double Compulse is pretty much a staple right now in this format. It was really good for me. So yeah, I liked Compulse. As much as I hate the card, I liked the way it was playing. Double Torrential. Double Bottomless. 1 Road. Yes, I still play the Road in this deck over the huge Revo because I like the benefit of having the Stardust. It makes it makes Dino Rabbit players hurt a lot more, cause getting over 25 is really hard with that deck. So it'll force them out to make a Gem Knight Pearl, as opposed to just going for a Logia or a Dolka. So Starlight Road was still really good, and I have ways to protect my back row again with a Stardust without having to worry about Heavy or Dark Hole. Force and Solemn. That's the deck. Again, I went X2 through 7 rounds, got sharped out of round 8 by Jonathan Weigel, who, again, is actually a really good player. I was really, really upset when it happened, but there's nothing I can do about it. The judge made a stupid ruling, because we took too long to decide, but he ruled in his favor after initially ruling in mine. I wasn't thinking about an appeal, which really hurt me. But I was just so upset that it happened, which is why an appeal was not the first thing on my mind. And I missed day 2 by that much. So anyway, down to the side deck. Triple Space. It's just a staple right now. I have to have back row protection for Royal to prove. I decided to play the Heavy. I don't know why. I couldn't sleep the night before, and something said play Heavy over the other stuff that I was going to play. Something said play Heavy over Decree, something said play Heavy over the second Black Horn. I'm actually quite content that I did, because the Heavy did come in handy a few times. It was a good bluff set, so they heavied my Heavy, and I was just like, alright, cool. And then I Heavy a deck that obviously doesn't play any back row protection other than Solemn, so Heavy Storm, and they scoop it up. Decided second tribute, I explained that. These were actually Gravekeeper's Watchers, and so was the scores, because of the Dark World matchup, but later on, now I decided I'd rather play the 2 D-Fissures against them, and then the Gores against Insectors, because obviously I'm going to leave myself with a clear field. But yeah, so these weren't actually D-Fissures, they were Watchers, but I would rather play D-Fissure now, just for that Dark World matchup. I wouldn't side it in against any other matchup, for the mere fact of I know how it plays out if I do. So, yes, I can play around it. Not as well as other decks, but I would not put it against the Dragon matchup because I already have an advantage in the Dragon matchup. So, double D-Fissure from now on. 1 Black Horn, Dino Rabbit, Dragons. It's a free Solemn Warning. Like I don't have to worry about anything. Black Horn of Heaven. Anyway, so yeah. Double Skill Drain, Insectors, mostly. Definitely hurts them a lot, and then they're going to side at Decree, so I obviously also try to side in the double space or triple space in a Storm, so Skill Drain, just really good, kills Insectors, and that's one of the main reasons I had to play it. Deck Devi, kills a lot of random decks. It's good for the mirror match, because I'll leave in one Necro Valley just in case for this play. After also siding in my triple space Heavy. It's just really good. I'm going to be able to play around it, and they're not going to expect this in the mirror match. It also hurts Rabbit. It also hurts Insectors. If I do this to an Insector, they're only out of Centipede, but Centipede's dead in hand without a Hornet. So, for the next 3 turns, I'd rather have this against Insectors than a Royal Tribute, because this sets me up for the 3 next turns and avoids them, whereas Royal Tribute hits them once, and then if they top deck something good, like a Hornet, I'm pretty much screwed. So, deck Devi. Double Prison, it's good for Rabbit, it's good for Dragons, so you can avoid like Pulsar when you don't have that. It's also good against Dragons because they have huge beaters that GK obviously has a problem getting around. So that was good. But other than that, there's not a lot of matchups that I actually decided to side it in against. But sometimes I wish I sided it into Dino Rabbit, even though I didn't oftentimes, because my defense usually takes care of it. But I guess it depends on the build. Like, if they're playing a build with Ryos, then yes, obviously I'm going to need to play Deep Prison. So, 2 Deep Prisons. And then this, again, was a Watcher, but now it's going to be a Gores for Inzectors, because they're never going to expect me for Gores. They're going to go pop happy off my field. Or even then, I'm just going to draw and say pass, and they're going to think, alright, well, he doesn't want to let me set up, so I'm just going to go summon equip, blah, 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 kill myself, and go off, and they're going to try to loot me, and then the moment they go attack, and they've wasted all the stuff, I'm going to drop Gores. And they're going to be very tight. So, Gores now. But, again, for Nats of 3 Watchers. And for the extra, 1 Stardust for the road. 1 Tempo, because I can, and because it does come in handy, believe it or not. So Tempo, really good. Pick it up while you can, while it's cheap. 1 Leviathan, 1 Leviair, 1 Zenmaines, 1 Acid Golem, 1 Zen Meister, 1 Papal Operative, 1 Maestro. This was actually Muserism, the String Division, the one that makes himself 300 during the damage step, or doubles his attack during the damage step. I wish I knew this was legal at the time, but I didn't know until about round 3 or 4 when I picked it up from a kid that it was legal. So I was a little upset, but now Kochi Dragon took Muserism's place. This is so good for GK. I cannot even emphasize it. Getting over their defense. Alright, so I'm going to attack with Assailant, switch to defense. Let's say it's the start of something. Alright, cool. Attack over with Kochi. Detach, attack you directly for 21. Kochi is his own BLS, so he's 2100 for it, but he's still so good for GK. Because everything else around you is going to help you get over shit. So, Kochi is really good, and I will absolutely pick it up. You need to play this in GKs. 1 Gemnite Pearl, 1 Roach for those nasty dragons and heretics. 1 Utopia, 1 Ray, and 1 Shockmaster. Yes, I've actually gone into this a lot more than I thought I would, and it's really good against dragons. Overlay 3, monsters, attack. Oh look, they've been sitting on Gores and they can't do anything, or Trag, attack, monsters, attack, monsters. They die. That's the deck. And now I'm going to give a quick briefing. Nizar, because I forgot to mention it in my last video because I recorded it twice and then the first one got deleted because it wasn't well enough. So, Nizar was not banned for cheating. He did not cheat, he does not stack, he did not stack, and he does not stack. This is coming from a player who does not like Nizar as a player. I think he is Garbaggio. But I'm not going to go bashing and saying a guy is cheating when he clearly wasn't. That's just not me. I'm not about slandering someone's reputation like that. That's like saying, oh, I stack Royal Tribute. I only play 1. I'm not drawing it a lot. I stack Bribes. I play 3. I'm going to draw it. It's just like Rabbit. It's just like Tour Guide. You play 3 of each. You're going to eventually draw them. I don't know why people bitch and complain when people top deck a Tour Guide or a Rabbit. Shit happens. You play 3 of cards that you like to draw. I mean, except Necker Valley, because I don't like to draw Necker Valley. I like to draw Commandant, I don't like to draw Necker Valley. But you play 3 of cards that you need to play. And Tour Guide and Rabbit are 3s. So, when people bitch and complain about that, it's on them. It's all on them. They didn't stack you. They just drew better. Point blank. Nizar got banned for playing for cash. He was in an Ironman. His team got caught. They sent an undercover judge or something. That's what I was told. And got him caught. He got DQ'd out of the main event in day 1, and then they told him not to come back. He did come back, and the cops were waiting for him, and he got banned. Word on it says it's going to be 2 years. We're not 100% certain yet, so keep an eye out for updates on that. But yes, Nizar's banned not for stacking. He is banned only and only for playing for money, which still happens regardless. So what Konami's been doing is they haven't been catching enough people. They haven't been too strict on certain people. That's what was told to me from a higher up. So this is their way to go about it. Anyway, moving forward. Yes, I got sharked out of my round 8 by Jonathan Weigel, who complained about, by the way, barely beating me in game 1. We only played game 1, and then he sharked out a match win by siding for too long. Judge initially ruling, you present him with your deck, you've been siding for well over 3 minutes, goes asks another judge, which happens to be my local judge, Joe Franchino, and he never looked over, and he wasn't told, because I asked him actually recently, just Monday night, Tuesday night, about what that guy said in round 8. He never mentioned how long we were siding for. He only mentioned, oh, player X has game 1 win. Do they have to present decks for game 2 and go into time? He said no, because he never mentioned the time, that game 1 has the win and the match win, and it came back and ruled that way. Appeal was not on my mind. I was just so upset and so pissed that I came so close to day 2. So that's how I got sharked out around 8. But I was upset. I said some things I probably shouldn't have about Jonathan. I apologized to him personally. I wished him no hard feelings, but he ended up losing round 9, which made me feel a little better about myself. And then I proceeded to face Dragons for the first time that whole day, and I 2-0'd it. Mind you, I won like 3 dice rolls that whole day. 3. That whole day. And I still won X2. My round 1 opponent never showed up. Whatever. That hurt me right off the gate, because yes, it's 3 points, but also it's a -1 on my tiebreakers. Round 2, I faced Heroes, so that was an easy win. Round 3, I lost to Sam's, which was stupid because he top deck space. But I mean, hey, you play 3 space, you get a top deck. You lose to top decks, that's what happens. I lose to a lot of top decks. Most often, it's to space and heavy. Next game, round 4, I lost to Windups. He looped me game 1, and I pushed him down to a 1-card advantage somehow during that, and then he just won. He got enough to just get over my defenses. Game 2, he top decks heavy. What are you gonna do? He told me he topped the heavy too. I wasn't gonna set my back row, but I did. And I'm like, if he tops heavy, I lose now. And he topped heavy. Round 5 and 6, I faced Dino Rabbit, and I won. I beat them both. Because Dino Rabbit is not as bad of a matchup as people make it out to be. Round 7, I played Inzectors, and then I had a deck check just before starting game 3. I won game 1, lost game 2 to Decree, and then game 3 I came back and won. So yeah, I played Inzectors and I won. Beat him in time, but I had the game either way. He burned himself out with Messenger of Peace. Didn't know it wasn't an optional thing to do. Thank God, because I saw him have the super, and I knew he would make that mistake. He's one turn he went, I choose not to pay this. I'm like, you can't not choose. It is not an option. That is a mandatory effect. We bring a judge over to verify. I was obviously correct, and he burned himself out. He got him down. He brought himself down to like 6,800 before he really had to stop paying it, because I finally blew up with a play in my hand, drawing into 2 MSTs. I cleared out his back row, and I go, alright, space this, space the messenger, flip recruiters, summon assailant, attack switch, attack. And I brought him down to 2,800 versus my 35, and he wasn't able to get over that, because he was sitting behind a Messenger of Peace, and he had a Gigamantis on board. So that's what happened in in round 7. And then I faced Weigel in round 8, and I explained that. In 9, I explained how I 2-0 Dragons. So I didn't make day 2. I came so close. It was my best effort, although I still say my deck for last year's Nats was definitely my best deck. Double Dyna, double cylinder, ceasefire. It was too broken. I just had the unfortunate event of playing Jerry Wang and having him top deck Kai's, which is a 1 or 2 of, which I was a little tight about. And then having to face CJ Krause and opening up triple Necro Valley Stealth Descendant and Solomon. I'll never forget that hand. Anyway, this video has been going way too long. I apologize for that to all my viewers. I thank you again for constantly watching my videos, as long as they are, and hearing the commentary. Anything you still have questions on, please feel free to ask me. I'm always open. You can check out my Facebook if you want to hit me up directly. You can PM me for that detail if it's not in my channel already. Anyway, let me get out of here. Graf, aka the Keeper, out.